are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Heather Turner, and today we will be talking about social media ads for social media platforms, pros and cons. If you have any questions, there is a box off to the right-hand side with either a question mark or just a little tab that says questions. Please feel free to ask questions as you have them, and if I can get to them in the middle of what we're talking about, I will certainly address them, or else I will address them at the end of the webinar. We are being recorded, and the link will be going to Lenny at the Quabog Chamber. So if you would like to review this at any time, you are more than welcome to. Now I'm going to start with Facebook, and Facebook is by far one of the most commonly used ones. It has a variety of ads that are available, and I'll start with one of the first ones, which is something called boosted posts. And I'm just going to add my own, and this is a personal insight into Facebook advertising. It's very, very easy to spend a lot of money on Facebook. And whether you're actually getting the bang for the buck, I feel is extremely questionable. It does have uses. Boosting posts, I think, of the ad types that are available for Facebook are probably ones that I would lean more in the direction of any business using versus the actual advertisements. And those are the ones that show up to the right-hand side of your newsfeed when you're logged in as a personal account to Facebook. Now, what boosted posts do are they boost your posts quite literally. So in terms of, like, this page, for example, has, 1,000 or 1,500 plus likes. Now, this ad we just posted this morning, which is actually a really good, interesting post, and I could almost guarantee that probably in a few hours we'll actually get some organic clicks from this. Now, the interesting thing about boosting posts, though, is what it does do is it spreads the engagement out a bit. And there's some pros and cons to that, because the way Facebook currently works is if you have, in this case, 15,000 plus for 1,500 plus likes, realistically, only between 1% and 3% of the people that have actually already liked your page are seeing your posts. And I noticed this from an organic perspective because as I'm scrolling through my Facebook feed, and I did this last night, which is high premium posting time for pages. I did it mid-afternoon yesterday, which is premium posting time for pages, and I did it first thing this morning, which between 7 and 9 o'clock is actually premium posting time for pages. Now, I'm not saying that you guys should post between that time period, but people that tend to post online, many page owners will actually post at that time period before leaving to go to their brick and mortar store. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the right time to do it. It just means that they have a few minutes while they're drinking their morning coffee, and they're going to get the posting out of the way. And just to address that for a second, if you are one of those people that is doing that, what I would suggest is start looking at your insights. And insights are up here in terms of the page navigation, and they're going to tell you when and what time people are coming to your page. Usually people are not seeing your page first thing in the morning. You're actually going to get the most views on posts after 9 o'clock. But your own personal insights for your Facebook page, if you have a Facebook page, are going to tell you, and that's the time when you should be posting. And the nice thing is you don't necessarily have to go back onto Facebook at that time period. If you're not using it already, Facebook actually has a pre-scheduler within the posting of the page, and I actually will go over that for a second for those who don't know about it, so that you can actually post it at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then it will live post at, say, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now let me go back to boosted posts for a second. When you click on boosting a post, it's going to give you your audience, it's going to give you budget. Just a note, if you post something that's interesting and about Facebook, for example, and you put Facebook in the title, or it says Facebook, or there's a logo anywhere within the photo itself, Facebook will not let you post that. I've discovered this several times. It's against their terms of service to post anything interesting about Facebook at all on a business page, so they will reject your ad. And most people won't have to worry about that, but it's just something to be aware of. The image itself that gets pulled in and the title, if for whatever reason when you post something it doesn't automatically go into boosted post mode. Facebook actually, whether it's a live person, which is kind of iffy, or their algorithms, which I think is more likely what it is going to look at the image, they're going to look at the title, and if there's anything that they don't like, they consider against their terms of service or against their terms of ad service, they're not going to publish it. And they will let you know that it's not been published. It just means that you need to go in and edit the post to conform to whatever they're looking for. Now, in this particular thing, you can say people who like your page. Now, this seems kind of counterintuitive because, they've already liked your page. Technically, they should be seeing your posts. But I'll go back to that between, 1% and 3% are only seeing that. And what I started with a little bit before was I spent time yesterday twice and also this morning scrolling through my own personal feed. I like about 400 plus business pages. And in a good 15 minutes of scrolling on all 3 time periods, when it's a heavy posting time period for business pages, I didn't see a single business page post. It was all personal posts, which is interesting. The only one that I did see was an actual boosted post from a page. So that's just something to keep in mind. And Facebook really wants you to pay to play. So, when you say boost post to people who like your page, realistically, you're paying so that that number of people that already likes your page is hopefully going to see your post. Now, people who like your page and their friends, and then people you choose through targeting. Now, if I was going to pay to boost a post, this is the one that I would prefer to see, and this is the one that I've seen get most bang for your buck. And then people you choose through targeting, I'll be completely frank and honest, this is not one that I would pick. And the reason being is Facebook cheats. Because if you said, okay, my audience, I'm going to create an audience, I'm going to have separate ones, and it's going to give you some variables. So you could put in a new audience name, you could put in, you want to target United States, age range, men, women, interests, for example. You can cross these off and then add additional ones. If you just type and hit enter, they'll actually enter them in. If you put those variables in there, technically, that ad should post only to people in that categorization that you've done it. Unfortunately, when you boost a post and then you look at who's actually liked or commented, but mostly liked the post, you're going to see that this ad has not specifically had any relevance at all to the people that you're targeting. So if you're targeting people in Cambridge, Massachusetts that like sushi, that are females between the ages of 25 and 45, they drive cars and they like big shaggy dogs, the people that are going to be liking the page and liking the post specifically for your boosted post are going to be little old ladies in Nigeria that wear no shoes. And I'm not trying to pick on Nigerian people that don't wear shoes, but my point being the target analytics and the target audience that you would be paying to show the ad to are not giving you relevant results. And more importantly, you're wasting money that way because, someone overseas, for example, is not going to help your brick and mortar store. If you have a hair salon, they're not going to come and book an appointment. The people you like who like your page and their friends, though, has become more valuable as an option if you're going to do that because it will show up in the page feeds statistically about 50% higher than that 1 to 3%, and it will show up to their friends. So technically, that 1,500 people that you have for a boosted post on Facebook, instead of just showing up to half that, so 750 people or so, I think my math is a little fuzzy this morning. I guess I need more coffee. But it's going to show up statistically to all of their friends. So that period, and the average Facebook user has about 200 friends. So if it, instead of appearing to 200, say it's going to appear to 100 of their friends. So multiply that, half 1,500 plus another 100, and then times that to X number of people. And so that's statistically how many people your ad will show up to. Now it's going to give you a choice of advertising. This is estimated reach. And this is important to look at because when you start to mess around with boosted posts, if you decide to do this, I would start out in the $5 range and make this title or make whatever you're boosting really, really interesting, and make the photo that you're using really, really enticing. Because realistically, once you have your friends and their friends liking that post and perhaps commenting on it, the odds that they're actually going to share it are much, much greater. So you're much better at concentrating on the ad content and the text content than the actual budget, especially at first with this one. You can always reboost the post again. You can run it for a variety of days. You can run it to a specific day. It will tell you your ad spend per day, and you can also stop this. So you can add an account number. There's all of these different things that you can do with this. It is important to read the terms and conditions because they do have some specifics that you'd want to know. And then mobile news feed this is important too when you're designing your ad for the first time, or you're looking at the post specifically for a boosted post. You want to make sure that the photo and this text is still going to be looking applicable when someone is looking on a mobile phone. And that is really, really important just in terms of the fact that more and more people are using mobile phones to look at Facebook. So people may not be on the desktop looking at Facebook posts. Now that's pretty much it for boosted posts at the moment. I'm going to go into a couple of other things that are kind of on page. Facebook recently added something in here called a call to action. If you haven't filled this out and you have a Facebook page, I do recommend it because you do get clicks. Like this week, for example, where it says sign up, that's actually 4 clicks from this particular linked ad. So I'll go to edit call to action in this case, and this goes to a website. This website clicks is actually from the About section and doesn't relate to here. We're the only people, since I'm signed in as an administrator, I'm the only one that sees this. And let me actually just show you something really quickly. If you don't know this, this is how to schedule a post. So I'm going to say hello, and then I'm going to click here and say set the date and time of the post. So I can do it that way. And this is changing now. For a while, the schedule was just here, and it's actually come back to here as well. And then you can go schedule, and it will ask you for the time. And you can also end a scheduled post date as well. Facebook lets you pre-schedule as many posts in advance as you'd like to. That can be very, very super helpful from a time-consuming standpoint, or time less consuming standpoint, in that if you only have 5 minutes a week to work on your Facebook posts, for example, you can do them all at once, and then you can pre-schedule them to go out at specific times during the week or during the next few weeks. Now to go back here to the sign up tab, you can do various things with this. And let me go back to edit call to action. There are specific things that you can use. They're all in here. If you haven't filled this out yet, I would recommend doing that. And then if you do want to promote this for whatever reason, you can hit promote, and it will bring up a box very, very like the ad for whatever you're advertising. In this particular page, this is pulling an image in from the particular page that it's linking to. So this is a membership sign up page. So you can change the text in here because this text is being pulled in from an external website. And in this particular case, you would definitely want to change the text in here, because no recurring payments is temporary is probably not something you would want, a potential person signing up for this to see. So you would have something enticing saying, come join Professional Association of Innkeepers International. If you were running a special offer, if you were doing something else specific with it, that's the text you would put in there. You do have this character limit. It will tell you when, or let you basically stop when you've reached that. If it's pulled an image in and that you don't want it, you can upload a new one. And it does let you target an audience. Again, I would be a little bit cautious about boosting these as well, because again, with the targeting, it's very much like boosting posts. It's not necessarily going to specifically go into the target audience that you want to. It's definitely something that if you want to play with it, only spend $5 on this, especially when you're experimenting with this for the very first time. I'm going to hit cancel, and then I'm going to go back into just talking about boosted posts just for a second. In terms of, if you are going to pay to play, make sure it's something that you're actually going to get something out of. You're not going to necessarily want to spend the money to boost a post saying, you got this great award for something, unless you really just want the love and adulation of lots of people liking the post, for example, because it's not directly getting you anything. I would only pay to boost a post if it's something that I wanted to specifically draw attention to a website, for example, like I was running something that was going on for a limited time. If I had an event that I really wanted to promote, just make sure if you're going to pay to play for Facebook that it's something that you're actually getting an end result, a return on your investment, so to speak, on it. Just boosting posts so they show up in the news feed for something that really isn't that relevant and really isn't something that's going to return any money that you're going to be spending on it, realistically really isn't worth it. Now I'm going to go into the regular ads manager, and you can actually do Instagram ads within Facebook as well. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about Instagram ads other than touching on them near the end. But you can do your Instagram ads in Facebook. It's very similar in setup to this. Now, when you go into your ads manager, it's going to ask you to choose your objectives, for example, and it's going to give you some specific things. So boost your post, promote your page, send page to your website. And what I would recommend is, if you do start looking into this, just go and play with us. Until you actually hit go, you're not going to get dinged for a feed on this. And Facebook is one of those horrible ones that not only do they change your business page frequently and not tell you, if you do start using ad creation tools, they change the interface for this very frequently. So just because you've gone in and created an ad once and you go in a month later to maybe do another one and you can't find what you're looking for, it's not you. You haven't forgotten. It's Facebook messing with your head. That's unfortunately the reality of it. Now, some of these things are interesting. They're all actually interesting. I'll be completely blunt and say I don't think Facebook actual ads are worth it. I know people have spent a huge amount of money for them. And again, this goes into ad targeting, because when you go into ad set, so I'm going to hit send people to your website to begin with, just to use this as a sort of benchmark. So you're going to put your URL to promote in here. Oops. So it's going to bring in whatever this is, and then you're going to create something. You're going to create a tracking pixel if you decide to do this. That actually is going to integrate into your website if you have the ability to go into the back end of it. Pi.com website clicks, we'll just use that. Now set audience and budget. Now this is very, very similar, unfortunately, to boosting a post. If you're trying to figure out who you want this appear to, it's going to give you all of these statistics and variables, but the reality of it is you're going to spend a lot of money on paid Facebook ads, and they're not going to be appearing to people that are actually going to be buying from your business. Because statistically, from all of the ads that I've looked at, especially over the last year, is they're not appearing to people in this country. I mean, if you have a product or service that's shipping overseas, you might get a very, very small return on your investment. But Facebook ads, the reality of it is they just want you to pay to play, and it's not going to benefit the business. Now, as I said, you can go through all of this, and I would recommend going through this because you're going to want to put in, it's going to say estimated daily reach. There's views, there's clicks, there's a lot of different things in here. I can walk you through the whole thing. But again, that's something you really, really want to think about because it's not going to return you your return on your investment. The reality of it is that. If you do decide to play with Facebook ads, I would recommend checking in daily, especially if you're going to play with an ad spend, and seeing in who actuality is clicking on the ads. Are you getting anything from them? Because you can stop the ads at any time period, and that's very, very important to remember that. Now, does anybody have any questions about Facebook? Oh, okay, so no, I really don't recommend doing Facebook ads. Again, and I don't mean to sound negative, but I mean most small businesses that are using Facebook ads, I have not talked to a single one, in all honesty, that have gotten anything out of them. And the reality of it is if you look at the ads, I'm just going to go into my personal page for a second. Hopefully there's nothing embarrassing showing. Just to go into the feed, just to show you for a second. The people that are spending money on ads that are actually being sponsored, and the ones that are getting the views on this. I mean, Amazon.com, for example, they have a huge amount of money that they can spend on ad spend. Most small businesses don't. In order to actually get the amount of money that you want and the people that you want to see this, you're going to have to spend a lot of money to compete with Amazon. Now, every time I refresh the page, technically, I should be getting a different set of ads, but that doesn't always happen. And again, these are Amazon City Cards, and these are actually based on, because I was on Amazon yesterday, for example, it's pulling in, and I wasn't looking at Bay Sweetener, but I was looking at things on Amazon, and we're just to distract you a little bit, you can look at some of my friends. It's pulling in cookies from the sites that I was looking on Amazon. So let me go over to, let's tackle Twitter for a second. Oops. I think I have to go home again. Let me go up to Twitter. So I see we have a late joiner today, so welcome. For what you've missed, we've been talking about Facebook ads and boosted posts. I'll make sure that you get a copy of what we've gone over. And then we are going to be talking about Twitter ads. And for those of you not on Twitter yet, this can be really helpful. I actually really like Twitter ads quite a bit. You can get a lot of bang for your buck from this. When you're in Twitter itself, in order to get to your ads, you're going to click on your picture if you have one, your profile picture, and then you're going to actually go into Twitter ads. It'll just be a second. Now, one of the reasons I like Twitter ads is because when they're doing specific reporting, and the majority of the ads for all the different platforms say that they target specific things. Twitter's are quite specific. There are a lot of variables because some people don't put their ages, for example, in their profiles. It may not show up publicly. They may not put their right location in there. They may not put more information, so Twitter can't necessarily get accurate information from them. But the amount of people that put misinformation in their Twitter accounts is statistically much, much lower than most of the other platforms that actually ask for that information. And to go back to Facebook, actually, for something that I'll just talk about, when I had a question last week when I was talking about Twitter ads with someone, and they say, how come, I'm getting all of these irrelevant clicks and likes on things, and then I look at who actually liked it, and it's, someone that has a man's name and a picture of a sexy woman on it. Well, that's actually a fake account. There are a lot of fake Facebook accounts out there, and what's happening, and this is what I see, and unfortunately it's also tied into Google pay-per-click ads, which we can go over if anybody's interested at the end, is a lot of the clicks that are happening on Facebook ads are being utilized by somebody paying someone in India or Chile or in Mexico or in Utah, for example, to actually click on ads to increase others' ad spends, and they're getting paid for this. I have seen on Odesk and on some of the freelancer.com sites, people have sent me screenshots, and also Craigslist ads, is there's companies out there actually looking for people to sit there and click on ads in Facebook, specifically ads on Facebook. So these are the people that are not doing your ad spend any good. Twitter, for example, has a lot of fake Twitter accounts, but the good thing about it is those fake accounts just go out and follow people. That's all they're programmed to do, is follow people and gain Twitter followers. They're not actually participating in Twitter itself, so they're not going to be clicking on your ads. Now, Twitter is interesting. All of these things, realistically, Twitter has not changed the ads interface since I started experimenting with this about 1.5 years plus ago. But all of these, they do change, and if you're not in here frequently, it can be a little bit hard to figure out where you go. What I would recommend, though, is log into this. You can't do anything wrong with these tools, so go in and just click on all of these things. Click on what it does, click on locations, click on demographics, and I don't have any ads running right now, at least not for this account. I do have a couple of other ones, but I can't show you because they're confidential, sorry. But most of these things do walk you through how to do this. So in this particular case, all campaigns, so I'm going to create a new campaign, and then it's going to ask you, what's the point of this ad for Twitter? Are you looking for more followers, clicks or engagement, tweet engagements, leads, custom? For this example, I want to go create more followers for my account. So it's going to ask you to title it. And again, I would recommend setting up a couple of test ones with us. One of the reasons I really, really like Twitter ads specifically is because it lets you pick basically your competitors' followers. So say, for example, I see we have somebody that's got a day spa on here. If you had a competitor or you had someone within, I would say probably 25 miles that is another day spa that has a Twitter account, you can pick your ad to target only the people that are following your competitors' Twitter accounts. So it's very specific in terms of, who you're targeting, and it's not appearing to anybody else, and that's actually factual, because it will give you very specific analytics for this. Twitter ads, like all of the other advertising, it lets you stop them at any time, and I would recommend for any social media paid ads that you're doing out there, go check back very, very frequently once it's started and track it, because you can change the ad campaign at any time. And that's important because if you set a limit for Twitter, for example, of like $25, which is actually a very good ad spend, you can get a lot out of it on Twitter, but you might want to go in once a day and tweak something. You might want to change the wording. You might want to change who it's targeting. But go back in here and then, as I said, just go in here and click. See, here's additional features: add followers, add interest, add tailored audiences. Just go in here and see all of the things that you can do with it, and it gives you a lot of very, very specific ad targeting that you can do. You're going to set a budget for this. You're gonna choose your creative, so compose or select tweets. So if you had tweeted something, for example, already, if you have a Twitter account, you can find an existing, or in this case 3 different ones that you had already posted, and they'll rotate through to help promote. So I'm going to promote, just as an example, that one, this one, and that one. And then it won't let me go further from this. You can also save this at any time, and then you can launch it at any time. So again, I would go through here, just see all the variables that you can do, and then check back check back every day while you're running the ads, and just see that you're getting the specific amount of bang for your return on your investment in this particular case. Now, if you haven't used Twitter before, Twitter is probably by far one of the most difficult ones to use. If you're setting one up for the first time and you want to run an ad campaign, I would really recommend that you go and you completely fill your profile out first. Because people will see this. So if you've just signed up, you're going to want to upload, your Twitter avatar, your profile image, your bio, location, and also a website that it's going to direct people to. So don't run an ad for the first time unless you have that information filled out. And then if you haven't tweeted yet, even if you're not using the tweets to promote, your intent is to drive traffic up. Add some content, because people will actually look at your Twitter account. So just make sure you have a little bit of content in there first before you start running an ad campaign. Now, does anybody have any questions about Twitter? Oh, okay. This is unrelated to ads, but they see there was a question about lists here. Lists are very useful. Just to go off topic for just a second, if you're using Twitter, lists are something that you can add people to and people can add you to, and they help because they aggregate information. For example, I'll go into, here's a good one. So I have a list that's been aggregated, for example, that has all of the Twitter followers that were listed when I created this list a couple of years ago, 4,700 people. So if I was looking to, and you can use this for specific targeting as well, you can advertise it just to a list you've made. So all of these people are ones that I'm not actually following, but I'm following their posts. And if you want to add someone to a specific list, you can click on the cog next to their profile and then go add or remove from lists. When you create a list for the first time, it gives you the option of public or private. When you hit public and you add someone to a list, they get a notification that you've added them to a public list. When you add someone to a private list, they do not get a notification of that, and it does not show up on their timeline. Now, this is useful though, because if you're aggregating content, not just for anything else, or I'm sorry, not just for, specific targeting, but you're promoting things in the area, you're looking for information about your industry. All of that stuff can be very, very helpful because, again, it's aggregating information out there. And you can also subscribe to other people's lists. So if someone, like, you could go on my Twitter account, for example, if you wanted to, see who is tweeting from Springfield, Mass, and you could follow my list. There would actually be a button here that says follow. Okay, let's go on to LinkedIn. Okay, now similar to Twitter, if you are going to experiment with LinkedIn ads, LinkedIn's interesting because if you have something specifically that you wanted to target to the big business segment, if you wanted to increase engagement with a professional type business, LinkedIn would definitely be the place to go and ad target. If you have a day spot, for example, I don't know necessarily if LinkedIn would be who or where you would be looking for potential clients. But on the other hand, if you are targeting it specifically to, women of a certain demographic age in a certain area, you can leverage it that way. I'll be honest, I have yet to see anything more personal related in terms of ads on LinkedIn, but it might be something to experiment with just to see if it would work. And if it does, please let me know. Now, if you're in LinkedIn, and I'll go over this really quickly because a lot of these have a lot of similarities in terms of, how they're set up. They do walk you through every step of the process. The only one that really isn't the same is Pinterest, and we'll go over that one next. When you're logged in, though, to your personal profile, you're going to want to go into Advertise. And it's going to give you some information about how it works. And then you'll go into Manage Ads. And this is very intuitive. This will ask you to enter your password once more because you're actually putting in confidential information at that point. So that's completely normal. This format is actually going to look very, very similar to the Twitter one. You're going to create a campaign for the first time. The one thing that I do find very, very interesting, though, about LinkedIn ads is, in this particular case, I mean, in all of this, I would go through this and seriously just click on this, read the learn mores. I could go into LinkedIn ads and it would take, in depth to walk through and create a campaign for the first time is going to take you a little while because you really want to check out all of the options. I'm going to go into this one, for example. I mean, LinkedIn ads, though, are very, very useful if, for example, you want to, target a specific company, for example. Go. And yes, I do have a company page. Just to go off topic for a second, if you don't have a company page on LinkedIn, I would highly recommend you setting one up. It's very, very good for search engine optimization. You can post things in there, like if you have a special going on in your business, if you won an award, if you wanted to post social media updates. You can post them in there. They will help for search engine optimization. Even if you're not going to post updates, though, I do recommend claiming if you have one set up already, or creating and then customizing. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes from start to finish, the company page for your business, and just leave it because it's very, very good for search engine optimization. Now it's going to ask specifically available content, sponsored content, create new sponsored content. In this particular case, this is pulling in information from my Twitter feed. So I'm just going to hit this one and then we'll go to next. And then so target audience, and this is I'm sorry, I lost it for a second back there. This is where I do like LinkedIn. The amount of fake LinkedIn accounts there is very, very small. You know, so you really don't have to rely, or not rely, but you don't have to be worried about irrelevant clicks or clicks that aren't from actually real people on LinkedIn, because the vast majority of the people on LinkedIn are real people. The reason I do like this, though, is because it gets very specific. You can also target by groups, but I like this because you can target by company name. So if, for example, you wanted to run something specifically geared at MassMutual employees, you could target just employees from MassMutual. So let's do MassMutual Financial Group. And then it will give you some other options in here. Now, say I only wanted to target anyone that, let's do Hartford. Oops. Hartford, Connecticut. Oops, it's not taking it. There we go. And then I could add additional ones, so Springfield. You know, so right now to run this ad, and it'll give you your estimated target audience. And I like this again because you can target specifically to these specific demographics. And then we'll click next. And I won't bore you to death with all of this, but I did want this screen because if you do decide to add something to LinkedIn, for example, as an ad, I would definitely recommend you do cost per click instead of cost per impressions, because the cost per impressions is great for branding, but it's not at all good for actually getting people to have a call to action. So they're not actually doing anything with it. They're actually just looking at it. Again, if you are going to use LinkedIn for ads, then I would recommend, going in once a day, creating a test ad, seeing all the variables you can get into in here, and then going in once a day and, just viewing it and then customizing it again if you would like to. Go into Pinterest. Okay. Now, if you're on Pinterest, Pinterest is very, very good for search engine optimization. Pinterest boards and Pinterest posts are actually showing up in organic Google search now. So I would highly recommend it for using it. It's great for engagement. All of this, again, I can go into a lot of detail in here, but I'll just go down here quickly, and you can go into promoted pins is a little bit different ad format. So I'm going to say track your highest performers, create a pin, for example. So let's go promote. And then traffic to your website or boost engagement. My feeling about any of the ads is you really want a direct process. So boosting engagement is great, fine and dandy for like comments, but you really want to get a return on this. So I'm going to say get traffic to your website. And then we'll do test. Phil will let me take it. And then start date, end date, and then daily budget. Oops. All right, so let's go into promote. And then pin name. And again, all of this will walk you through the statistics. You're only going to pay for clicks, and that's important. It doesn't give you the visual that LinkedIn does. It doesn't give you that optional thing. You can pick locations, languages, devices. Where it says pick specific devices, I would just put all devices because a lot of people are using Pinterest on applications that are not just web-based. All genders, that's up to you. If you were promoting something like a day spa, for example, I might specifically just click on female, just because there are about 70% of females are on Pinterest, and there's realistically about 30%, which is a big growth in the last year or so. But you may get a lot more female clients, just as an example. Import terms, make sure that you put terms in here that you want, that are specifically to the ad that you want. Beyond this, there's not that much more to it. It's going to give you analytics for how your ads are run. All of the ads online are going to give you analytics, so you can see how the ad is doing. Pinterest ads have actually been very, very useful for things if you have a specific product or service that is attracting people, not so much a business service, but more of what they call luxury product services, like day spas, for example, or if you have an actual product to sell. If you're using Pinterest for whatever reason to, like your financial advisor, for example, Pinterest probably is not a good fit for you. That's the kind of thing that would be more of a LinkedIn ad that you would use to promote it. Twitter ads, for example, can be for any type of business. Facebook ads, as I mentioned, probably are not useful to anybody. The boosted posts, though, again, for particular business services, they may not have a lot of value, but for luxury products and services, and actually products themselves, it can be useful itself. Now, Instagram ads, I'm just going to touch on. I'm not even going to go through the whole setup for it. You know, LinkedIn has been around for a few years. It hasn't yet proven itself as a good marketing platform. I have not talked to any businesses that have actually gotten a return on their investment yet. You know, it's helped boost website engagement. It's helped boost branding awareness. It does not seem to impact search engine optimization, but in terms of actual return on investment, so have they made any actual sales on product or services from Instagram ads? No, not yet. And I think part of it might be the demographic that's on Instagram is mainly the younger millennials at this point. So there's probably not a lot of people that are going to be spending money on things like financial advisors, anything that has a spend, unless it's clothing, which might be worth investigating, but anything of which costs more than $50. I do, or at least I have heard, and I don't know this for a fact, that people that are selling inexpensive products on Instagram and using Instagram have gotten a return on their investments, but that's just something I've heard through the grapevine, and I have not seen any proof of this that I've looked. I wouldn't suggest, or I wouldn't not suggest checking out Instagram ads, but at this point I wouldn't expect any return on any time or money that you've invested in it. That's pretty much it. There are other ads that we can talk about. There's pay-per-click ads that are through Google. There are other ad types. There's Snapchat. I would put Snapchat into the category of Instagram ads. I don't know whether the platform is going to stick around. I have not seen or heard anybody get any proof of actually getting a return on their investment as of yet from this. Do you have any questions? Okay, there is one question about Pinterest advertising. You know, just like anything else, like Twitter, for example, like LinkedIn, before you start running ads on this, make sure you actually have your Pinterest account fully filled out. Make sure you have a bio in there. You know, make sure anything that you're going to promote, like if you're going to promote a specific pin on Pinterest, make sure that it's actually optimized. So make sure it has text in there. Make sure it's actually linking to the correct thing that it's supposed to. I've seen a lot of businesses set up Pinterest accounts and they're not actually optimizing their Pinterest accounts at all first, and then they're running ads, so they're not getting the actual results out of what they're looking for yet. Is there any more? Oh, okay. Is Pinterest worth it for businesses to use? That's a tough question. I mean, in terms of engagement, yes. In terms of search engine optimization, yes. Is it going to be applicable to all types of businesses? No, because, and I'll take financial advisors for a good instance. If you were a financial advisor, should you go and spend a lot of time in LinkedIn? Yes, absolutely. Should you go spend a lot of time on building a business profile on Pinterest? No. Think about who is the audience that's using this, and more importantly, what you want them to get out of it. Because realistically, that drives what you're looking for. I'd like to know how to optimize Google as a search for our agency. And it's a home care agency. Okay. Well, that's a tough call. I mean, the first step I think would be to make sure that your website is optimized. I mean, a lot of people have websites. What format, if you don't mind me asking, is your website in? Is it a standard HTML website? Is it a WordPress website? Standard. Would you mind giving me the address and letting me take a look at it? Or we can do this offline if you'd like. That would be the first step for it, because you really need to make sure that before you start spending any money at all on advertising, that your website is up to snuff. And by that I mean that it's optimized for search, that it's got optimized placement. So there's a lot of free directories and some paid directories out there that you should be on. You need to make sure that the site is especially mobile friendly. And I know it's a home care agency, because more and more Google, Bing, LinkedIn searches, or I'm sorry, Yahoo searches are being done on mobile, even though you might think people that are looking for a home care agency aren't necessarily looking for information online. More and more people are, because say they're at work from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night, they might not have a lot of time, and they may not have the inclination to say, well, geez, I want to look up this information from my aging mother at home. I just want to go home, have dinner, have a glass of wine, and go to bed because I'm exhausted. So they may not be able to, use their work computer to look up information, but they can use their smartphone. So they're on their lunch break at work, and they're looking up information because they need to find it. So they're looking on their smartphone. So you really need to make sure that your website is mobile optimized. If you don't have the ability to do that, there are some alternatives. They're kind of like mobile-friendly add-ons. Doodle Mobile is a good one that you can use. There's a free version and a paid version. If you can't redo your website, I would look into some of the paid versions of alternative mobile sites, so at least you can get that important information out there. Oh, okay. So the website's down at the moment. All right. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. But that would be the first step, is really take a really hard look at your website. Take a look at your competition. What's the competition doing? Do a back search. And there's an easy way to do this, and I'll do this right now if you guys have a couple minutes and stay on the line. In order to do a back search for something, so say I'm going to look for care at home, I think is one of the ones. Okay. Let's do home care, Connecticut. All right, so let's pick one out of carepathways.com. Okay, now if I wanted to do competition research on these people, the best way to do it is, there's a variety of ways, is put their website into quotation marks and just hit enter. Now, the first results that you'll see are generally going to be there. They're on Facebook. And one of the reasons for doing this is you're also going to find out, or on LinkedIn, you're going to find out the other websites that they're listed on. And this is important because if you have direct competitors, you want to know where they're advertising. You don't necessarily have to put the www in front of it. But what I would suggest is when you start doing competition research to find out where you're ranking and where you should long-term be spending your money on it, go through, make a list of your competitors and their websites, and then start doing searches in Google using these quotation marks. And then find out all the places they're listed, and then make a list of them in Excel. Go through as many of them you can find that are direct and maybe some indirect competition, and start to find the site similarities. The reason being, in terms of organic ranking, for example, you can have the perfectly optimized website. You could spend a lot of money on it. You could pay for pay-per-click advertising, which you can spend a huge amount of money on. But if you have 3 competitors, for example, in the area that are being listed on 3 high traffic directories, you're not listed on that directory, they're always going to come up above you in search. And the only way that you're going to find that out is by doing some sort of backtracking and looking into that. Go analyze who they're listed on. A lot of the directories that a lot of websites are listed on are free as well. And that's important because if you come across free directories that you can list your business on, go ahead and take the time to do that. One of the things I'll mention, it's related to search engine optimization, is make sure your NAP listings, which is name, address, phone, is consistent. And that's important because when you're starting to put your business address and your business information into Google search and into new directories, you just want to make sure that it's all consistent. And that also goes for, like, if I'm putting in my phone number, for example, and I'm putting it into a new directory, make sure this is consistent in terms of a phone number. So don't have, 603 within this and then a dash. Always make sure it's in the same format. It's the same thing with street. Is it street or is it street, for example? Just make sure, especially when you're adding new listings, that it's all consistent information in there. So I hope that helped a little bit. The other thing too is, if you want to go further after you've done your competition research, after you've spiffed up your website, go through and go to, there's a couple of links that I can send you if you're interested, or you can also Google them. It's Google has some great analytics, and make sure you have Google Analytics in your pages so you can track information. But Google also has, and I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but I know I have it bookmarked, in terms of site speed, and it will ask you what your website's missing. It will give you a free rundown and analysis of what's wrong with your site, for example. And that's important, especially if you're doing a website redesign, which it might sound like in this case, is you want to make sure that your images are optimized, that they're quick. So if someone's looking on a mobile phone or on a regular phone, that your site speed is quick, no matter what kind of connections people are on. And that's important because not everybody's still on high-speed internet. If you have really slow loading images on your website, for example, people are going to click away from your site quickly, and you'll have what's called a high bounce rate. That kind of thing is really important to look at. After you've done your competition research, though, also bookmark and take a look at things like, okay, that particular care agency, for example, had Facebook. Are they actually using Facebook? Take a look at what they're doing, bookmark it, and then actually let's take a look at their Facebook page for a second, just as an example of this. Okay, so their page has 704 people on it. Look through this and analyze what your competition is doing for ads. The last time they posted was September 4th. So basically, they might fall into, I've abandoned my Facebook page, because it looked like they were posting fairly consistently for a while, and then they stopped posting. Let's see if they're on any other social media. about, see if they have videos, which I kind of doubt, but you never know. No videos, likes, photos. All right, what kind of images were they posting, for example? And this is important because if you're starting out on social media for the first time and you really want to optimize what you're doing, see, they've got nothing here. If you really want to go out, before you do ad spend, go out and see what kind of organic bang you can get for your buck. So don't just start searching for competition. Go out and say, caregivers agencies, for example, do some variables in Google search. Find out what's coming up on the first 5 pages of Google and do research, because those are some of the bigger companies that are actually paying more money to do competition research. They're doing analysis. They're doing paid ads. Go see what they're doing, and especially bookmark their social media pages, and then go see what they're doing and go see what kind of engagement they're getting, and start taking snapshots. So if you know how to take a screenshot, or if you're on above Windows 7, there's something called a snipping tool. I love this, and I use it all the time. It's in your accessories section of your start menu, and start taking snapshots. And I love doing this because it gives you a really good handle on what you should be doing on your own social media. So say that this was an absolutely fabulous post, for example, that they had. So I'm going to go and take a snapshot of this, and say, just as an example, instead of 8 people liking this and it had 2 shares, say it had 80 people liking it and 15 shares. So I might want to bookmark this just for reference of, this is the kind of thing that's getting high engagement for my social media profiles. So I hope that makes sense. So they're on, Pinterest, for example, they're on Twitter. And actually, I'm going to go back here and say this is a pet peeve of mine. If you have social media profiles connected from your website, and my deepest apologies, I'm getting way off topic here, so please tell me, I'll stop. If you have social media profiles up here, make sure they open in a new window. Now, these don't open in a new window. Follow Us on Pinterest takes me away from their page. And from, the fact that, okay, I'm now on Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I'm going to get totally distracted. I'm never actually going to go back to the page that I left. Make sure that those are coded so they open up in a new window so people don't actually lose your website. And that's super, super important to do no matter what kind of business you're in. So these guys are on Pinterest. They don't have a lot of activity on here, but it's interesting to see, these are the kind of boards they've created. This is some of the things that they're doing. They're following a lot more people than are following them. They don't have their full profile filled out. So there's a lot of information that you can glean from what they're doing. So let's go into Twitter, for example. Look at what they're doing. I mean, really take an analysis of, okay, they have not filled out their profile photo. And just like their Facebook page, for example, it looks like they stopped posting last September. I would tend to think that since they stopped posting last September, either they lost the person that was doing this, because it's now been, 5 months, or they were paying an agency to do this and they did not find they were getting the results that they wanted to. So they stopped paying them, and then their social media post just died, for example. So this is probably not a really good one, but it's important to see what's out there. And it's important to see too, like this particular one, this post, for example, if this was a post, for example, this is called a retweet. So someone retweeted it and 2 people favorited it or liked it. If you saw something like this on a competitor's, or a sort of competitor's Twitter page, for example, this would be another one that I would take a screenshot of. You saw something with 12 retweets and then 20 likes or 20 favorites, used to be called favorites. This would be one that it would be important to take a screenshot of, again, just to reference what other kinds of things that you could be using to help promote and not spend money. I'm very much about social media is free. You really shouldn't have to spend money on it. you can use the ads to leverage the business, but if you're putting some time into it, and more specifically, if you're paying attention to what you're doing and what your competition is doing, you realistically shouldn't need to spend the ads on it or need to spend the money on ads. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helped a little bit. Does anybody have any more questions? Okay, if you do have questions, I know you received an email with my email address in it. If you have specific questions about stuff we went over, or you have a specific question about, like, where should I be looking for this, please feel free to reach out to me, to call me or email me. I don't charge for advice. I'm more than happy to help. And if you have things and you, for whatever reason, can't get hold of me, please email Lenny and he'll pass that along to me. And again, if you have questions about things we went over that you should have asked, you thought about after the fact, again, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help. So thank you so much, everybody. I know that going over social media ads is not all that interesting, but I hope you found it useful. So thank you so much, you guys, and have a great rest of the day, and have a terrific weekend.